We all know that there are certain events that happen on the same date every year. And an important one for LACO employees is March 15th, when reduction in force, or RIF, notices are issued. During our program today, we're going to talk on some of the major questions that come up about the RIF process. We have Dr. Darren McDuffie, LACO's Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, who's here to talk about some of the key points of the RIF process. So Dr. McDuffie, let's start about the definition of RIF. I know it stands for reduction in force, but what does that really mean?
Well, RIF stands for reduction in force. For classified employees, this means there are one of two things happening: a lack of funds or lack of work. So for example, if a program supported by a state or federal grant, the funding goes away, the workforce has to be reduced accordingly due to the lack of funds, meaning simply that we have to, unfortunately, RIF employees. With certificated employees, this is also the case, along with the fact that LACO also adjusts programs based on our projected student population as well as the state budget forecast.
So essentially, our workforce does kind of grow and shrink given different times and our funding levels. So this year, how many employees do you think will be affected by the RIF process at LACO?
Well, the process is very detailed and involves employees' seniority and a term we call bumping. This means they may be able to bump into a different position that they're eligible for, and all of those factors have not been completed. Unfortunately, we do anticipate a very large number of classified and certificated employees being RIF'd this year.
Now, I understand with the passage of Prop 30 last year, along with some other steps that LACO has taken itself, that our financial stability is pretty strong. With that, why are there so many certificated and classified RIFs? I mean, if we're doing so well financially.
Well, like I mentioned, we look at the state budget each year, and you're correct that with the passage of Prop 30, it has prevented us from making drastic cuts to our programs. The major problem we're experiencing as an organization actually began last year. Districts have been notifying LACO that they want to run their own special education programs rather than having LACO run them. This is known as district takebacks, which means that these districts no longer need the services of our teachers, paraeducators, and clerical staff, therefore causing a reduction in force.
Essentially, how many roughly would you think that's going to involve?
Well, this year we have the East San Gabriel Valley SELPA transferring special ed programs back to their individual districts. So this will constitute well over 300 employees from the East San Gabriel Valley alone to be RIF'd, with the majority of them being teachers and paraeducators. Unfortunately, this will have a significant ripple effect across our organization.
So really, even though it's focused or concentrated in these areas such as triggered by the East San Gabriel Valley or special education reductions, truly it will be felt throughout the organization, this ripple effect you're talking about?
That's correct. When we send out notices, the education code gives us parameters on how layoffs will occur. We're guided by seniority, and so teachers and classified employees with most seniority have rights to a position they're qualified for over a less senior employee who may have the same qualifications. This causes employees to be bumped and to be placed in another position or be laid off altogether. It disrupts the continuity of our programs, but even more so, puts a tremendous burden on our employees and their families who serve LACO so well.
We have gone through this process before. The bumping and the RIF, et cetera. Even still, it has to be one of the most difficult things for employees to face. And also, even for those who don't get a RIF notice, your colleagues, your friends, the people that you work with, how can we help our own colleagues here at LACO deal with the stress of this RIF process?
Well, it's going to impact and affect employees differently. Like you mentioned, we're not only colleagues, but we're a LACO family. I think the best advice that I can think of is for those impacted by the RIF, just to ask questions and to seek clarification and seek those answers from either the Department of Human Resource Services or their union representatives. This is not easy, and on behalf of the superintendent, he's charged me with keeping in communication with union leadership and offering employees as many resources as we possibly can.
You mentioned resources. How can employees access those resources easily?
Well, HRS will have a resource page, Surviving the RIF, available for all employees. It'll have helpful information to assist them through this difficult time. There'll be FAQs about the RIF specific to certificated and classified employees. There will also be employment assistance resources that will be important for employees to learn about.
Now, during this time, we really only talked about the major points, some of the major points, and there's a lot more that's available on that resource page that you mentioned
Right.
on our website under HR. There's also going to be much more specific information on areas such as seniority, placements, reemployment benefits, really a whole lot more. And that's both for certificated and classified. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, we'll have that available. We'll also be keeping our own staff, again, all of you, updated on any special developments or any new developments as they occur. Our thanks again to Dr. Darren McDuffie, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources here at LACO.